I don't need a book or an invisible deity or a church to tell me what is right and wrong. I can use my intuition.
Somebody recently asked me to make more videos responding to Kristi Burke, so here we go. In this video, Kristi goes through the greatest hits of atheist slogans regarding morality, and I can't respond to every low-effort, haphazard accusation she makes in depth, so I'm going to instead respond to the central claim that if she doesn't need any God to tell her what is right and wrong, if she can simply close her eyes and find what her intuition says, and she'll be golden. Boy, it sure is a good thing that Kristi came along and told us all of this. I guess all the academics publishing in the field of ethics and meta-ethics can close up shop and find new careers, because apparently it's just that simple. Setting snarky remarks by myself aside, let's talk about some of the issues here. Kristi thinks that all she needs to find out what is right and wrong is her intuition. However, what if another person, who we will deem psychopathic Sally, comes along and does not share your intuitions? Psychopathic Sally thinks shooting kids is good, clean fun, and oppressing the LGBTQ community should be made into the new national pastime. Is one of these people objectively wrong and the other objectively right? Is Kristi's morality better than Sally's? If you say no, these are merely personal preferences and one is not more right than the other, I'm going to point out that the Christian ethical theory at least allows us to condemn Sally as objectively wrong, and I'll just take the W on that one. However, I don't think this is what Kristi and her like would say. They would likely say that her morality is better, more accurate, or objectively right because her beliefs lead to the health and development of all people. But if she responds in this way, she's missing the point. Your belief that human flourishing is the guide for right and wrong is itself an intuition, one that Sally does not share. Why should we think that your intuitions about human flourishing as the basis for morality is the correct one and that Sally's morality is the wrong one? What is the standard that comes in to decide this factor? Under atheism, our moral intuitions are merely socio-biological adaptations that have come about because of their usefulness to our survival. Had we evolved under a different environment, Kristi could very well have different moral intuitions. Under atheism, I don't see how Kristi's intuitions are more epistemically privileged than Sally's. It's at this point I will note that the intuitions that Kristi thinks are so obvious are intuitions that humans have not held to be obvious throughout human history. Historically, people thought it was fine to keep slaves and exploit them sexually. The ancient world thought it was fine to leave disabled children out to be killed by exposure. What Kristi doesn't realize is that the things she thinks are obviously morally wrong are a result of Christian ethical influence over the West. Tom Holland, who is an agnostic historian, recently wrote a book in which he argues this point at length. Kristi lives in a culture that is suffused with Christian ethical influence about every being made in God's image and the obligation to help others. Whether she likes it or not, living in this culture has influenced what she sees as intuitively right and wrong. If she really thinks that her moral intuitions are the obviously correct ones, all we need to do is point to the ancient world and say, why are your intuitions correct and not theirs? Why is the difference between our values and theirs progress and not just change? The Christian can say that our ethical values correspond to the objective ethical standard, which is God's nature, and that God has provided access to moral knowledge through his nature and commands. Kristi, as an atheist, has no such response.